Hello and welcome to the Force Friday show, the weekly show from Movie Burner Entertainment, where we discuss all things Star Wars, be it canon, movie related, anything relating into Star Wars. What have we got first this week, Stephen? What is a very barren time for news in the Star Wars verse?
Certainly is, John. Coming in first is straight from StarWars.com and from Lucasfilm. This was announced on April 26th, and it's Star Wars Resistance anime-inspired series set for fall debut. All new animated series will focus on the era before Star Wars The Force Awakens. StarWars.com, as I said, is thrilled to announce that the production has begun on Star Wars Resistance, an exciting new animated adventure series about Kazuda Izuna, a young pilot recruited by the Resistance and tasked with a top-secret mission to spy on the growing threat of the First Order. It will premiere this fall on Disney Channel in the US and thereafter on Disney XD all around the world, featuring the high-flying adventures that audiences of all ages have come to expect from Star Wars. Star Wars Resistance, set in the time prior to Star Wars The Force Awakens, will feature the beloved droid BB-8 alongside ace pilots, colourful new characters and appearances by fan favourites including Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma, voiced by actors Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie, respectively. The series was created by renowned Lucasfilm animation veteran Dave Filoni, and he said, "The idea for the Star Wars Resistance came out of my interest in World War II aircraft and fighter pilots. My grandfather was a pilot and my uncle flew and restored planes, so that's been a big influence on me. There's a long history of high-speed racing in Star Wars. I think we've captured that sense of excitement in an anime-inspired style, which is something the entire team has been wanting to do for a long time." Mark Buhag, Senior Vice President, Programming and General Manager, Disney XD, said, "Our colleagues at Lucasfilm have created a compelling narrative for an untold moment in the Star Wars galaxy, and we're excited to partner with them again on the new original series. Star Wars Resistance will bring viewers across generations an engaging story with heart, humour, and both new and familiar characters." In addition to Isaac and Christie, the voice cast includes actors Christopher Sean, Susie McGrath, Scott Lawrence, Myrna Velasco, Josh Brennan, Donald Faison, Bobby Moynihan, Jim Rash and Rachel Butera. And I have to say, John, I'm certainly looking forward to this. It's one of these ones that Dave Filoni has had in the pipeline for a little while now. And obviously with the Rebels series coming to a conclusion, it was only natural and expected that he was already moving on to his next project.
Yeah, this one's been rumoured for a long time now. I think everyone knew that they had another animated series in production. Clearly this is the case if it's coming out sometime in the fall. This is a very arduous and long process creating these animated series. We've got a team of experts putting this all together. You just need to see the behind the scenes of it to see how much work goes into it, certainly the stories and the scripts and stuff, and just putting it all together. So it's been in production for I would presume a long time now. And this is it just being announced, and I'm glad to see it's been announced because I'd enjoyed the Clone Wars. I've yet to finish Rebels, but what I've seen of that, it's a fantastic series. I love the artwork. I loved that moment with Obi-Wan and Maul on Tatooine. That was just iconic and added so much to those two particular characters that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've actually got that as my background on my phone, so that speaks volumes for my appreciation of the artwork. And just seeing that they're keeping this going with Star Wars Resistance it's brilliant to see. It's a time period I think everyone wants to see fleshed out, and I think we'll slowly but surely get that over the next decade or so. Certainly want to see Luke Skywalker's story getting fleshed out. Wonder whether that will pop up in maybe an animated series or whether it will be in a series of films, another series, live action, who knows. I'm getting sidetracked. The premise behind this looks very interesting to me. It's following a pilot recruited by the Resistance to spy on the First Order. Sounds interesting. I love seeing things about pilots. It's always been something that's synonymous with Star Wars, the X-Wings games, the X-Wings in the films, even the TIE fighters. It's just something that I've been fascinated with from a young age right up to my current age. I'm sitting in front of a Lego TIE fighter and X-Wing, so that'll show you again my appreciation of those particular things. So just seeing this taking place will be very intriguing to see what direction they go with it. Obviously, including characters like Poe Dameron and Captain Phasma is only another feather in the cap for Dave Filoni and the guys that are working on this. Having those calibre of actresses and actors coming on board to lend their vocal talents. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to see how it's going to flesh out, pan out, and how long it's going to run for. I know the Clone Wars went on for about 6-7 years, didn't it? And then Rebels has been on for about 3-4 years. So certainly I've got complete confidence in Dave Filoni to produce a fantastic set of stories that are going to intertwine and add to the canon of Star Wars. It's certainly something he's got previous for.
Yeah, Filoni and the writing team are certainly the needle in the thread, in the fabric that is the Star Wars universe. Just for connecting up the film based Star Wars stories so perfectly. That period in between episode 2 and 3 for the Clone Wars was just about right. I know a lot of people had mixed feelings on the series itself. There was a bit of a mishmash of sequential episodes, that type of thing, but overall I thought it was a thoroughly enjoyable series. Certainly there was hints in Revenge of the Sith, how Anakin got his scar. That's explained in the Clone Wars. And moving on to Rebels, bridging the gap between episode 3 and 4. Certainly we get that more in Rogue One as well, and it was nice to see Rogue One paying homage to the animated series as well, with some of the familiar ships, etc. And that little Easter egg with Chopper in there as well in Rogue One. There's so much respect for these animated series, and I think that's down to Dave Filoni and the writing group. A lot of people out there are wanting this writing team and Filoni in general to come into the live action. I think that's just a matter of time. We've spoken this before in regards to Jon Favreau's television live action series. I think that writing team and Filoni are going to be so prominent in the production of this live action series. But it's nice to see they're getting another animated project to do. I think it was a no-brainer that the next one they were going to do was going to be in between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. It's going to add a bit of weight to the characters, these new characters that we've only been introduced to in the last few years, the Poe Damerons, the Captain Phasmas, possibly Finn as well, perhaps in there. I don't think Rey will crop up as much in this animated series, but anything to do with the First Order I think will certainly only add weight to the characters that are out there. We might even see Larson Tekka in this animated series as well. I think that'd be quite interesting.
And I think it just shows again the confidence Lucasfilm have got in Dave Filoni and these group of producers, executive producers and writers. They trust these people to get it right, and they're trusting them with this time period in between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. I can't wait to see what they put together, and certainly it's been a criticism of Star Wars in the past few years that they're not doing enough to expand the galaxy. They're focusing on familiar characters. That's certainly something that can't be attributed to Dave Filoni. This is a guy that's introduced some brilliant and original characters like Ahsoka Tano, Ezra, Kanan. The list is endless. So I've got confidence that he's going to introduce another great array of characters that we're all going to grow to love. And they're going to be fleshed out, they're going to become living three-dimensional characters, which will just add to the canon further and further. Again, just seeing the likes of Poe Dameron in there, I really love the character of Poe Dameron. I think he's a fantastic character. It's been really underused in this sequel trilogy. Certainly get a little bit more to sink his teeth into Oscar Isaac in The Last Jedi, but for the main he's been underused in this sequel trilogy, so anything that's going to give us more insight into this character, what motivates him, what makes him who he is, and by the time we see him in the events of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, I'm well up for that. I know his parents were born in Yavin 4, so just getting an insight into the early stages of the Resistance and seeing the likes of Leia, I don't know who they'd get into voice her, but seeing Leia forming the Resistance is going to be great. And obviously this character, the main character Kazuda, is going to be infiltrating First Order, so maybe we'll get to see the early signs of Snoke. Maybe I don't know if it will delve that high up where we'll get to see Snoke, but certainly getting to look at Captain Phasma, another character horrendously underused in the sequel trilogy. So maybe certainly I know Dave Filoni will do a much better job of giving her screen time and fleshing her character out and giving her an interesting plot to follow and stuff like that. I know he will do a better job than J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson did in the sequel trilogy. And that's not a diss in them, it's you've got more freedom and time to do these things in animated TV series than you have in the type of films that we've seen. There's a whole array of characters having to be fleshed out. Certainly it's been an argument we've not seen enough of the characters we've got, the likes of Poe Dameron, Finn and Rey. We've not seen enough of them as it is, so to add side characters in and give them time, it's a difficult job to juggle these characters. I've got much faith in Dave Filoni to get this right, flesh all these characters out and give us a whole array of new characters to add on to it. Really excited to see it. Can't wait till it comes out. I've loved the previous two, and I know I'll love this one.
Yeah, I think some of the characters that might have cropped up in The Last Jedi, certainly in those opening sequences, you know, in particular with the Resistance side of things, certainly with Vice Admiral Holdo, we might see that relationship with Leia. There might be a bit of conflict there, you know, at first with Leia and obviously who her father was. That would be very interesting to see getting played out in this animated series. I'd also like to see the character, it was the A-Wing pilot Tally, who was abruptly killed off in the first 15 minutes of the film. I thought that character, when we saw her on the film, was going to be quite prominent, because it certainly was in those opening scenes, and also Rosie's sister. You know, it's just the possibilities are endless from that side of things as well. You know, you read the books as well, John, particularly Chuck Wendig's Aftermath trilogy. I've read the first one. I found it very hard to read. I think it was written in the style of a third person. It was very difficult to absorb the first time round, but you certainly delved more into this period in the novels, and it'll be interesting to see how this runs parallel with them.
Yeah, well, I know, like I said, I've got much more faith in Dave Filoni to get that right, Stephen, than the likes of Kathleen Kennedy, who have made a right mess of it at times. He'll not make those mistakes. He'll have it all intertwined, and he'll introduce characters from legends. You've seen it before with the likes of Saw Gerrera as well. He introduced that character in the Clone Wars. He had a brief cameo in Rogue One, completely underused again. He took that character and worked magic with it within Rebels. You've seen him do it with the likes of Darth Vader. He's took iconic characters. He just knows how to give these characters the right amount of screen time, not to oversaturate the series with them. He knows how to handle iconic Star Wars characters. I'm sure he'll do the same with the likes of Snoke if they pop up. I've no reason to suspect he won't if it's going to be an infiltration of the First Order. Even the likes of General Hux, we'll get to see his background. It's a really exciting time period to delve into, and I know he'll handle it right. This guy gets Star Wars. He knows the feel of Star Wars, and for me, he should be working on the movies sooner rather than later. Anything that adds to his great back catalogue of animated series and stuff like that, I'm well up for it.
Just moving on, this was something that dropped on YouTube just earlier last week, John. This was a featurette that appeared in regards to the upcoming Solo, A Star Wars Story movie. Ron Howard previews the Empire Road planet in the Star Wars teaser.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is actually Corellia that he's previewing, Stephen. I don't know if he actually says the name, I can't recall, but it was a brilliant little featurette. Delved right into some of the characters again. We get an interesting insight into some of these characters. They're slowly but surely letting out more snippets of information about them. We're getting to see them fleshed out a bit more. We get to see some brilliant war scenes in it. We were touching upon it when we watched it there before we came on. There's very interesting scenes in this with Beckett and Han in war settings. Obviously, Han was famously in the Imperial Academy before the events of A New Hope, and certainly in Legends he was. I don't know what his backstory is. I've not read Last Shot yet, whether they've kept that in. Certainly it looks like they have, because in the little teaser we've seen before the first trailer, he's talking to an Imperial officer and they say he's pilot best in the galaxy, so obviously he's going to join the Imperials again. And it certainly looks as though he's maybe a stormtrooper or something. I don't know if I'm picking it up wrong, but it looks like he's one of those mud troopers. So that is very interesting. Another little insight into those characters. We see Beckett, he looks like an officer type thing, having a little laugh and joke with him in it. So that looks very interesting. The featurette was brilliant. We get to see a little bit more of Kira and Han. It looks as though they've got great chemistry together, and just a little bit more of Han in general. The more I'm seeing of him, Alden Ehrenreich, the more I'm getting confident that he's actually going to deliver a good performance. He's looking as though he's embodying the character. He's a little bit with Chewbacca. I'm not going to say that. We need to get you a nickname. That was a great little moment. And then just adding into the Lando and stuff like that as well. It's a brilliant little featurette.
Yeah, I mean, just going back on Ron Howard's words in this featurette, you know, about the Empire ruling, basically with an iron fist. And from what you can see from this little clip, is the suffering of the ordinary people here. It's something that's not really been done in Star Wars. There was hints of it in Rogue One, particularly in Jeddah, but Star Wars is what it is. It's very black and white, good versus evil, you know, the Empire versus the Rebellion, First Order versus the Resistance, what it might be. I think it was actually Maz Kanata, you know, these forms of evil, the Sith and the Jedi, etc. When you're going down to sort of street level in this, I think that's what Ron Howard's highlighting here. You know, the the consequence of the Empire and their rule on ordinary civilians, if you like. It's going to be very interesting to see. And it does mention that this character, this free spirit, that is Han Solo, that's what I picked up from it. Certainly those battle scenes as well, John. That's probably the most revealing part of this featurette for me. The rest of it was seen in previous trailers. There was a little bit of dialogue between Han and Lando, which I enjoyed as well. But those battle scenes looked very graphic, very harrowing, and it'll be interesting to see. This is going to put another spin on the character as well, that we didn't know about. And as you said, I've not read Last Shot either. It's certainly one of those novels. I think that, we touched on this last week. It complements the movie. I think I'm going to go down the road of an audio version of this book, just for time, just to really absorb it before we go and see this film.
Yeah, I had a bad experience with an audiobook, Stephen. I was listening to Bloodline, fell asleep on my bed, and then I get awoken by a noise that was obviously happening in the audiobook, and I get the fright of my life, so I've never went near audiobooks again. I went out and bought the ebook version of it because I was too scared to listen to it again on my bed in case I got startled again with it. But that was interesting what you says about showing the tyranny of the Empire at street level. That's certainly something, you're right, we've not seen in Star Wars films previously. We only briefly get it touched upon in Jeddah and Rogue One. It's certainly something that was fleshed out in some of the novels, like the likes of the Chuck Wendick novel Aftermath, the first one. We see it, the effects it has on families there, and the rising up and overthrown tyranny with bureaucrats within the planet and the Imperials as well. And certainly we've seen it in Lost Stars as well with the two characters. Both went off to join the Empire. One left, defected, and he went back to his home planet, and he's seen the effects that the Empire had on his home planet, destroying it, tearing up the scenery and just generally treating the populace like crap. So that is going to be interesting to see. That'll be another thing that will be fleshed out. We'll get to see another perspective of Star Wars that we've not seen before. We've obviously seen the war stuff in Rogue One as well. It looks like we're getting it in this. It does look like a flashback though, because Beckett and Han are in the Empire. I don't think this will be current time in the film. Within the film, obviously it's not current time, it's a prequel, but I know we're getting flashbacks. I don't know how many we're going to get. That looks like it could be a flashback, so I'm hoping we're going to get a good bit of that in the war stuff, because as she says, it'll lend more to the character, and anything that adds to a character and develops it and fleshes it out and adds context to what we've already seen is good in my book, and it just adds even more to that moment we finally see him in Mos Eisley in the cantina. And I hope they get it right, because if they don't, it could tarnish that forever. So I hope they get it right, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. The featurette was great, as you said, the Lando moments as well. He asked him, tell me you didn't win that ship through cards or something like that, I'm paraphrasing slightly. It was great. We got another little shot of the Falcon sitting down in like a little basin thing, and that moment with the gun, you're right, Steve, that moment Lando throws the gun to him and he catches it, that is epic. I can't wait to see this film. The war stuff is something that wasn't hinted at before, I don't think. It was more of a western type thing with the Enfys Nest character. And even Kira hints as well at one point that he does things that shouldn't play off, but they do. And he does that little jump onto the train. So this film, the more I see of it, the more I'm getting excited for it.
It must be very difficult at the moment, in the height of all the buzz around Infinity War, John, to promote this film, but they seem to be just going about their business. I think as the weeks roll on now, we're only about 3 weeks away from the release of Solo, A Star Wars Story, and as you said, I'm certainly looking forward to it.
And obviously the news that it's premiering a little bit earlier again in LA, that's very interesting, and again it shows the confidence that Lucasfilm and Disney have in this film. If they're pushing it out early and they're allowing critics and people to go in and watch it early, that shows they've got confidence in it. And again, it just adds to my excitement. I think Ron Howard saved the day. I said this about 3 weeks ago. I think he's come in and saved the day. And apparently that's reflected in some of the reports that are coming out now as well, that he has done a very good job. So it is going to be difficult for them to get a look in with all the Infinity War stuff that's happening now, which is a fantastic film, which we discussed earlier in the week. And also Deadpool 2. It's going to be very difficult for it, but I've got confidence this will be a very good film, and all the signs are pointing to it with all these little featurettes and the decisions they're making.
Yeah, and just moving on now, John. This was news that was dropped last week from ScreenRant.com, and Star Wars Episode 9 casting calls teases new female lead. A new Star Wars Episode 9 casting call details a female lead who goes by the name of Caro. While fans of the galaxy far, far away eagerly await the theatrical premiere of this summer's Solo: A Star Wars Story, Lucasfilm is making the final preparations to begin filming on the sequel trilogy finale. Director J.J. Abrams is returning to finish what he started, drawing from a script written by himself and Chris Terrio. As has become standard practice for new Star Wars instalments, it looks like Episode 9 is set to add some fresh face to canon. It wasn't too long ago word got out Abrams and company were looking to cast a role codenamed Mara, as we spoke about last week, John, a woman aged 40 to 50 years old. Apparently she won't be the only newcomer to the franchise, as Abrams will be adding someone younger to the fold as well.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't really a surprise to us, is it, Stephen? We've also seen a lot of new faces coming in over this sequel trilogy. The likes of Rose in The Last Jedi. So it's not a huge surprise. It's something that's very prominent in filmmaking. You're going to get new characters coming in and having little cameos. We've seen it with Benicio del Toro as well. I don't know much about the character. It doesn't go into any great detail. It just describes her as having a captivating naturalness and ease to her manner, and calls her a leader and problem solver. Smart with a great sense of humour and strong will. All this comes to her effortlessly. This maybe hints at maybe someone that's going to come in and liaise with Poe going forward in the film. I know Poe kind of get the reins of power handed to him by Leia. She hinted at that at the end of The Last Jedi. Why are you looking at me? Follow him or something along those lines. I can't remember the exact word. I've not watched it in a while. So it looks like she's going to come in and maybe be a sort of a leader character that's going to come in and liaise with Poe and lead the resistance in what is sure to be a troubled time for them whilst they fight the First Order. The character sounds interesting. She's, I believe, going to be African American. That's what they're looking for. So that's cool that they're still going down the multicultural route with it. I'm all for that, and giving people of all ethnic backgrounds and demographics a chance in life. So yeah, I don't have much more to add to it, Stephen. There's not a huge amount to go on. I don't know where she's going to slot in. It seems like from the description it's going to be alongside the likes of Poe in whatever direction he goes in this film. I don't see her doing anything with Finn, certainly not with Rey. Rey's going to have her hands full, hopefully building her Jedi Academy, or having already built a Jedi Academy. So yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see them adding new faces into the films. I can't really add much more until we find out who's been cast and get some more tidbits though.
Yeah, I think it was a no-brainer, John, that they were going to add more to the cast anyway for the next instalment. You've only got to look at those closing shots. If you pardon Broom Boys, closing scene. The scene previous to that was that the whole of the Resistance was in the Millennium Falcon. That's how drastic it was. So it's very natural that and quite obvious that they're going to add new cast members to the final instalment of this trilogy. Yeah. Certainly, there's not a lot to go on in that news there, other than what we already know that they're going to do anyway. Just getting back to the codename Mara, I still think there might be a little bit of game playing there by Lucasfilm with that one. Certainly, we discussed this last week with the non-canon character Mara Jade. That remains to be seen, but it's interesting to see that they are going to be going down the road of recruiting an African American actress. So it's certainly it's early days. We're a long way away from episode 9. There's going to be a lot of these pieces of information coming out very soon. I know that J.J. Abrams has finished his first draft of the movie. That'll certainly be smoothing out a rough diamond there anyway, in J.J. Abrams' writing. We're only hope for this film is a very satisfying conclusion to the trilogy, and if rumour is to believe, that it will tie all, the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. So it remains to be seen how that goes, but it's certainly very early days. I'm certainly not in the frame of mind anticipating this movie at the moment. It's a very long way away. The way the last film ended wasn't certainly not in any sort of cliffhanger, like the previous incarnations of the second act of the trilogies. We saw a cliffhanger at the end of Attack of the Clones, and then the most famous cliffhanger of all in The Empire Strikes Back. And this one, it just didn't have it. So the anticipation will grow, very similar to the Solo release before Christmas. I certainly wasn't anticipating that much, but certainly now with the promotional stuff, I certainly will be looking forward to it. Episode 9 is still another year and a half away, December 2019, and I'm sure it'll be a satisfying conclusion to this sequel trilogy.
Yeah, certainly the people that call social justice warrior out every time they watch The Last Jedi. I'll not be happy with this now, Stephen. It's another female getting added. That's 2 now. What are they doing? Kathleen Kennedy's a feminist. What's going on? They're ruining Star Wars. Don't know. But certainly, Stephen, the last thing that I'm going to be saying here is another interesting little thing I read where John Boyega hints that he's having to grow his hair out for episode 9. So this would hint that there's going to be a time jump between The Last Jedi and episode 9. Everyone knows this is going to be the case anyway, but that's cool to see.
Or perhaps he's stuck on Act 2.
He may very well be, Stephen, but yeah, I mean, that hints heavily that there's going to be a time jump for the last film, which everyone wants to see. We don't want to see that immediate jump right back into action from the end of The Last Jedi. That was, in hindsight, a terrible decision. I think most people would agree. But yeah, maybe we'll see the adventures of Broom Boy, Stephen, I don't know. Maybe we will jump right back in and see him freeing himself and all the other children from the plight on Canto Bight and rising up and becoming Jedi Masters by the time of episode 9. I'm gibbering on here. That takes us to the end of episode 9 of the Force Friday show. We'd like to just thank you for listening to us gibbering away again, and we'll be back next week to do it all again. Remember guys, if you're enjoying the content we're putting out, then do subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment on and share the videos. You can also find us on iTunes and the Google Play Store at the Movie Burner Podcast, and give us a little follow on Facebook and Twitter at Movie Burners. If you fancy a spot of casual reading, then all our latest written reviews and the occasional article can be found at movieburnerintertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.